Welcome back, fellow jazz bums. Today, we are going to discuss Saxophone Colossus. This is a beloved jazz record by Sonny Rollins. I've been able to get a copy that is RVG stamped in the dead wax, and I also have a copy from Kevin Gray, so I wanted to discuss those two pressings. And I thought it would be fun to do a deep dive into Saxophone Colossus pressings, specifically with RVG in the dead wax. Before we do, always remember to like and subscribe, and please share this with your friends. We also have the Jazz Bums Discord. I'll drop a invite link into the description below. And then on our YouTube channel, we stream every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So come and hang out with us there as well. All right, so I was pretty excited to find a affordable copy of this expensive record. Originals go for around $3,000. So what I wanted to do was take a look at what the dead wax looks like on the originals, the copies that I've been able to identify that use the original metalwork, and then talk about the copy that I have that Kevin Gray mastered, and then do a comparison. So let's jump into it. All right, so first things first, let's take a look at what an actual RVG stamped copy looks like. So this is a second pressing, and we know that because it's from Bergen. It has the Bergenfield, New Jersey address on here. And there's a few things in the dead wax that we want to take a look at. One is AB. So this means Abbey Manufacturing. This is where the original was pressed. And you can also notice this runout groove here. This is also interesting because on the copy I have, the runout groove is identical, which makes sense because it's using the original metalwork, which includes that runout groove. So the AB is positioned exactly as this on the copy that I have, which I'll show a little bit later. We also have the hand-etched RVG. So he's not using a stamper here. He's hand-writing it, which is true for the time. So this was pressed originally in 1957. And this is how Rudy Van Gelder was doing that. So we have his initials here in the dead wax. And then here we also have a handwritten catalog number, which you can see here is also something that you can use to match. So all these placements match exactly with what the copy I have, except for the fact that the catalog number is scratched out and a new catalog number is written in there. So we'll discuss that in a little bit. So that's essentially what we want to look for what the original dead wax looks like. So that said, I was able to pull up 9 pressings that have RVG in the dead wax. I was able to go through the Discogs master entry to find these 9. And I figured we can quickly go through them because I think I just want to talk about price and some of the other details of these pressings, because a lot of them are, almost all of them are pretty expensive. Some are exceptionally expensive. I also do want to note that Michael45, who also has a YouTube channel, has done a shootout between the original US first pressing, the original Danish pressing, which used the original metalwork, as well as the Kevin Gray pressing that was a part of the Analog Productions 50 Prestige Titles series. That was interesting to hear his thoughts on that. We can reference that a little bit later as we go through these. And then also that image I just showed with the dead wax, that was from London Jazz Collector. That's always a great resource when he or one of his contributing writers do a deep dive into something. Those are interesting to see. So both of those sources I'll link in the description below if anybody wants to check those out. Okay, so let's look at the 9 entries on Discogs that use the RVG metalwork. And there may be more, but these are the ones that I've been able to confirm. Also, this was recorded in 1956, so this will only be recorded in mono. So all stereo versions of this will be reprocessed or rechanneled. So those were excluded, and those will not have RVG since he never took part in that type of reprocessing stereo mastering. So this is the original. You can see that there's a high price point here is $1,800. Now this actually is low from what I've seen on eBay and PopPsych. A lot of like top top copies of this, like VG Plus or better, are going for above 2,000, sometimes above 3,000. Some people, do get good deals, like $800. I just saw that somebody, if you go to eBay and looked at sold copies, there's some people who have gotten it for less than 1,000. So, you can certainly get lucky at an auction, or if somebody lists it for a reasonable price, not saying that these are reasonable price, but compared to that $3,000 price point for the original first pressing, that is something. So it's very expensive. And this really is just something that's out of my price point, unless somebody really, mislist it for something, ridiculous, ridiculously low. I am never going to have a copy of this or subsequent copies that are like second pressings. So the next copy here, we have a UK 1958 pressing. This you could see, this is their starting price is around $300. And that really matches what the median is here. And the high here is 800. So this also uses that original metalwork. It has a different cover. Esquire was known to do that. So Esquire put out a lot of Prestige and other labels in the US, out in the UK. And they, for this, in this instance, use the original metalwork. So this is another way to get it. And it is cheaper, but it's still expensive. We then have the Danish pressing. So this is the one that I mentioned Michael 45 reviewed. He said that he thought there was a better vinyl formulation, I think is what he felt like, compared to the Abbey manufacturing pressing, the original US, and it's a lot cheaper. So this is something that could be a good option. It's still very expensive. The lowest copy here, and we're not even looking at what the gradings are. I don't even want to deep dive that far, but we're starting around $400 for this first Danish copy. All right, and this does use the original jacket. We can look at the label. So this is on Metronome. So this is the Metronome label there for that pressing. Okay. We then have the first US reissue. So this is going to have that Bergenfield, right? Bergenfield, New Jersey. It's still deep groove, and then it's still using the regular dead wax, and it's still pressed at Abbey manufacturing. So this could be a good option. It's a little cheaper. We're around $400. And the high here, the highest has gone for about $1,000. So if you don't want to get the very first pressing, but you still want this RVG copy that's pressed at Abbey Studios or Abbey Manufacturing, this could be an option. But again, these are like, I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that this is a extremely expensive record when it uses this RVG metalwork. This is another US pressing. So this one, there's one copy for 800. I'm not exactly sure what the difference here. I think this might be a difference in jacket. So there might be like a different, yeah, it doesn't look like there's an address at the bottom here, which I think the early first jackets did have. So that could just be a variant in that regard. Okay, then we get into France. So the French got the metalwork as well. And this you can get for 140. This is getting cheaper. This is put out by Barclay in France, different cover, as you can see. And this is an option. Going to keep moving here. Okay, so now this is a 1964 US reissue. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know that 1964 is a year when Bob Weinstock, who owned Prestige, started reissuing a lot of his back catalog outside of the Abbey manufacturing plants using cheaper vinyl, specifically recycled vinyl. Now, according to London Jazz Collector, this 64 pressing does use recycled vinyl, and there is a low hiss that causes. This also uses an alternate cover, and it has the blue trident here. I think this also comes with a gold trident label as well. If you have this copy, let me know how you think it sounds. I'd be curious to know, since there are multiple labels of this, if that means there's multiple pressings, and maybe there is a copy that's on really good vinyl. So I'd be curious to know about that. So if you have this copy, let me know what you think and how it sounds. Then we have the New Zealand pressing. There's no year here, but it uses that alternate cover. So this is probably a 60s pressing as well. There are none for sale here. I mean, I haven't been looking or calling out the have want list here, but 4 people have it, about 200 people want it. And, the reason is because it uses that RVG metalwork. I mean, I'm thinking that's the reason why this is in a lot of people's want list and not too many people have it. And then I think we have one more. Okay, so this is the copy that I have. This is a Dutch pressing, and This also uses the alternate cover. It's from 1966. And there, when I was looking at this, if you go scroll down to the bottom, there is one comment here. And it says, the cheapest and best sounding pressing to get RVG mastered record with silent vinyl. If you care about sound quality, grab it. So I saw that, and there was one copy for VG Plus in Europe, and it was only 30 euros. It was VG Plus, and then I think the jackets like was listed as like VG or G Plus or something like that, which I didn't really mind because I was just curious to know like how this RVG pressing sounds. So I ordered it. It came in a few days ago, and I've been listening to it. I think I listened to it 3 or 4 times, and I compared it against the Kevin Gray copy that I have, and I want to discuss it. So before we do that, let's talk about this pressing itself. So let me show the copy that I have. So first of all, as mentioned, it has water damage to the cover. It's not too bad. I mean, it's not great either. There's some damage here. What's interesting is since this is a Dutch pressing and it was pressed by Artone, which Artone was a large record label pressing operation in Europe, or in the Netherlands. So that's who pressed it. And what's interesting is this jacket is actually a fold. So on the inside, you can see where the water damage is there. And then on the back here, you can see the water damage too. But it's a fold. And I have another pressing by the same label or pressing plant. And it's a Sinatra Basie. And it has the same type of jacket. So this jacket folds out and there's nothing on the inside. This is essentially where the record obviously goes on the inside. But there's no top or bottom seam. So that is another example of a pressing for that. So I didn't realize that when I ordered it. So I was a little surprised to see that when it came in. But again, the jacket is the jacket. No big deal there. I'm just happy that it's still somewhat presentable. Okay, the record itself is VG Plus condition. So really nice. That is the label there. And if I can get it right, you can see the dead wax there. So let me see if I can get it here so you can see where the RVG is. There's AB. So you can definitely see AB on the left. And then where's the RVG? So the RVG is close to, let's see. It's really not coming up here. Oh, there it is. Okay, so in the top, there's RVG. Okay, so there is another copy of this right now for, I think it's a VG Plus, and it's around like $100, 100 euros, which is still affordable compared to the other pressings. The other thing I wanted to mention is that this is part of a series. So if we go back to this pressing, you can see it's part of the Prestige Modern Giants. It's number 17 in the series. So this I also wanted to call out because it's interesting because a lot of these use the original metalwork. So this, again, it's put out by Artone, and there are 30 albums by Prestige that they put out. And I'll link this in the description as well if people want to check this out, but there's a lot of great titles here. Now, when you click on these, some of these will have alternate covers. Let's see if this one uses a different one. No, that doesn't. But some of the, yeah, so like Steeman, this is slightly different. So the covers may be different, but if you look in the description, a lot of these will say that there's RVG metalwork here. So this could be a good way, a more affordable way, although some of these are still pretty pricey, to get that original metalwork and that original sound on really nice sounding vinyl. So this could be something to take a look into. I'm certainly going to look into it. And if there are other titles that are affordable that I really would like, I definitely will order them. So check those out. Excuse me. And one last thing about this series is that it was curated by this guy, Pete Felleman. And I was unfamiliar with this person, but they are a Dutch radio disc jockey. And they're saying here that he was the first disc jockey in the history of Dutch radio. And he specifically had a focus on jazz. So if you go through his career, I mean, a lot of his shows focused on jazz, American jazz in particular. So this is who they brought in to curate the list of 30 titles that they were going to reissue. So I thought that was pretty cool too. So shout out to the late Pete Felleman. All right. Now, I mentioned that I have a Kevin Gray copy. Okay. So first of all, um, I want to talk about the Kevin Gray copy that I have, because it may not be the copy you think I have, which is the Analog Productions part of the 50 series. So, as I understand it, that series came out in and around 2012. When those sold out, they had a restock of the Saxophone Colossus title, but it wasn't part of the series. It was a separate title that Kraft commissioned QRP to press and Kevin Gray to master again. I'm pretty sure Kevin Gray masters it again because the dead wax is different. Now, this happened, let me share my screen. What I think is interesting here is that this happened so the original Analog Productions version was 2012, and this other one, which is very cheap, and this is all analog, it's like the same exact treatment, same exact pressing plan as well, is 2017. Now, I don't have the 2012 one, but I have this 2017 one, and I wonder how different they are, because I know that Kevin Gray updated his mastering chain, and I'm not exactly sure the year. So if anybody knows the years, please let me know. And I think this goes into like when he was mastering the Blue Note Music Matters. Those 45s were done on his one chain. Then he upgraded, and I think that's when they did like the SRXs. So people seem to like those SRX pressings, or the 33 pressings, over the 45s, and I think they attribute it to some of the gear changes in his system. If that's incorrect, please let me know. But I've had conversations with people, and that's what I've heard, that he did make upgrades to his system over the years. And I just want to say that this one from 2017, mastered from the original analog tapes, it's, there's copies available now, I think, for, let me see what the cheapest one is. If you're in the United States, you can get a copy. Let me share my screen so you guys can see this. There's $20 starting. Okay. So it's very affordable. And again, it's AAA. It comes in what feels to be a Stoughton jacket, very sturdy jacket, just like like everything, all the treatment here is identical to Chad's, but I think Kraft wanted to put it out themselves. So they did the same exact thing, but they gave it the Kraft catalog number here. So on Analog Productions version, they use the original catalog numbers. And when Kraft reissues things, they give it a new catalog number. So anyway, this thing sounds fantastic. And I guess the comparison is, I have this 1966 Dutch pressing that uses the original metalwork, and it's pressed on really quiet vinyl. And then I have this 2017 Kevin Gray version pressed at QRP. And both of them are fantastic, I have to say. Like, I love the sound of both of them. I will say that I think the Kevin Gray version, it does present a little better to my ears. Also, I'll drop a link to the gear that I'm listening on. Again, I just want to stress, this is just a fun conversation. I'm sure that there are limitations. I mean, there are definitely limitations in my gear and this analysis, but this is just kind of a fun thing for me in, how I A/B things on my current setup. So just, please take all of this with that understanding. So yeah, the instrument separation, the bass is much better on Kevin Gray's. The cymbals, like when you listen to St. Thomas, there's a point where there's like two little on the bell of the ride, there's like two little dings. It is like sparkling clear on Kevin Gray's. It really is just a fantastic sounding record. I can't even imagine how the tapes sound. It just must be incredible. Now, the original sounds pretty amazing as well, but it's definitely more of a saxophone forward sound, where you have a little bit of the rhythm section, a little bit more in the background, a little bit less defined by, through instruments. Although it's defined, I mean, it sounds great. It's a really beautiful sounding record. And the bass on it, I think the bass actually sounds pretty good. And this is 1957 when Rudy was rolling off the bass. So I still get that. And it sounds fantastic. And I can honestly listen to either of these. I mean, they both sound great. But I will say Kevin Gray's, it just sounds that much more clear. And yeah, so I'd give it to that later pressing. But honestly, I'll listen to both of these. I think it's great I love the idea of listening to the original. at least the original metalwork, to how it sounded back in 1957. So I think that's really cool. All right, so those are my thoughts. I just wanted to kind of put that out there and let you guys hear kind of my thinking and what I've been collecting. Let me know what you think. If you have an RVG copy of this and you've compared it, let me know your thoughts on that. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. I'll talk with you guys later.